Hi, everyone. It's Gracie back with the Educator Wellness Revolution podcast. Thanks for being here and listening. This episode is so exciting to me because we're naming something that I've seen so often in working with schools, which is, I'm going to say like teacher extraordinaires, about the teachers who just like go above and beyond to support staff members, students. They are the social connectors. They are the hospitality and sunshine committee leaders and the bright rays of light. And I just really want to understand more about you all and the magic that you bring, and also how we can support you all. So, very happy to have three of those extraordinaires with us today. And I am going to let them introduce themselves, starting with Q.
Okay. Hi, my name is LaQuantanisha Atchison. I have been in teaching for the last 10 years. So I've worked with everyone from infancy all the way to second grade, which is like a huge span. But I started slow and long. And so each year I get better and better. It's something that I really enjoy. Teaching is something that's really important to me because I feel like it's my calling. It's something that I've always wanted to do. But I feel like each day I get to like help the future of America one day at a time. And so I think it's just really cool. And so I'm blessed to do this work.
We're blessed to have you. Great. Go to you, Chandler.
Hi, I'm Chandler Dennard. I teach elementary music at Kimball Elementary School. This is my 25th year of teaching elementary music, so I've been teaching a while. I do it because for some reason kids keep listening to me. So that's why I keep doing it. As long as they'll listen, I'll keep doing it.
Chandler, my son had it as a recorder. He's in third grade and he was playing it all weekend. And I was like music teachers in elementary school they're doing the God's work because that sound was so intense. And I was like, you all just have a special
Mhm.
level of patience. So thank you for
Yep,
what you do.
especially like 25 of them all at the same time is the most fun.
Can't even imagine. It's G.
Hi, my name's Nujal Gamungun. I am a teacher. I've been a teacher for 16 years now. This is my 16th year. I started teaching because I knew I wanted to help, right? And so I think that it's in my heart to help. And I think that's how, I definitely took on more hats. After COVID, I went back to school and decided to become a social worker because I knew the mental health space for kids and adults was something that there was deficits in, and so I wanted to learn more how to support in that area. But I'm still teaching, and I get to like kind of marry the two different fields, and it's been really great.
Thank you. Uh, so we're using this term teacher extraordinaire to really describe like just like the above and beyond nature that some people in schools do. And so I'd love to hear it from you all around how you describe your approach in the building and how you show up and what you see your contributions to staff and overall school culture being. And let's start with you, Chandler.
Um, so things I do for staff at my school. I plan like different wellness events and help plan different wellness events. Um, as doing research and different stuff, I found out that most teachers don't want like wellness PDs. They want like wellness events, like a coffee chat, or we've had yoga, we've had sound baths, we've had drumming circles. So just leading stuff like that and having teachers just being able to gather and talk to each other, but not anything really scripted. So that's some things that I really like to do at my school. I'm also all about getting free stuff to pass out to teachers, hand lotions, face mask, books. I'm calling them little SEL wellness bags. It always has like a face mask and a little bag of lotion and a little pencil or something in it. And so if somebody's having a bad day, I won't even say anything. I'll just hand them that, and they know that that means that I'm like kind of thinking about them. So that's some things I do.
Thanks. Let's go to you, Nujal.
I think that when you're like working in a school and just as a teacher and like you see like just seeing the need, like I think we're really focused on SEL for students, but like how do you work with a colleague they're having a hard time and not acknowledging that and like meeting them where they're at. And so I agree, like times for teachers to gather, different events, just having a food truck come into the front of the school so a teacher doesn't have to bring their lunch one day. Like it's one less thing. Like how are you lightening the load of teachers? And also like Chandler said, like creating space for them to like process and connect is really important.
Yeah. I agree with both of you wholeheartedly. I think especially like thinking about a teacher extraordinaire, like right now, is like also being the connector of dots. And I feel like that's what I mainly am right now. Cause like I transitioned to a new grade. So I don't feel fully as present as I've been in years before. But like also being able to be like, oh, I can like point you to the right direction of somebody who can help you in the moment, right? Because like it doesn't always necessarily have to like fall on me or be my shoulders, but being like, oh, let me connect these dots. Oh, you two, maybe you two can coordinate that together. Oh, let me talk. I'll talk to that person for you. Less like trying to be like a mediator or like the person in the middle to be like, oh, if I can bridge a gap, maybe that'll lighten your load, or even just like connecting me. Like maybe I'm not physically creating the basket, like do anything, but I know who could. Maybe I could talk to the PTO for us and see what they can do for us, or like, making different connections and then also being an advocate for other people who I hear is just being like, oh, we should be able to do these 10 things. Can we do them? I'm like, I don't know, but like, let me see who I can talk to so we can like trying to get it coordinated because doing things outside the building because that's what we want, right? Like we work really hard to provide like a room and space for other people so that they can learn and they can grow, but then like we deplete ourselves most of the time. So like having moments where we can connect because teaching can also be isolating where you just like in your room, in your hub with your kids doing the best that you can. And then you're like, wait a minute, life has happened. The day is over and I haven't connected with any adults. So just like having those moments and being like a connector of pieces is something in the way that I try to show up for the staff as much as I can.
Thank you for sharing all of that. Yeah, something that you said, Musji, about just like wanting to help and being a helper. Like I hear that and what everybody is saying. And it's interesting. I'm in social work school right now too. And what I love at the end of the day, social work's very like diverse and eclectic of what you do with it, but it's like the instinct to help, whatever the situation is the thing that really guides you. And I hear that and what you all are doing too. And I think in our culture, we really devalue the power of like relationships and conversations and those like social moments because you're not being productive in those moments, right? You can't like show something for it. But we all know that that's like the glue that holds us together in community is to feel that we're known and that we trust people and we belong to. But the reality is that in any group of people, there are always going to be people who can do that more, and there are always going to be people who do that less. And that's real. And so I want to talk about I want to get into the realness of it. Like how can you all give so much and not have it go into resentment? Or are there points that tips into that too? Can we start with you, Miss A?
Yeah, I definitely feel this one. Like I had just mentioned, I transferred to a new grade, and so it's like you learning a new skill because I've done first grade for 3 years, and so like now I'm teaching a whole new skill with like a new group of people, and like my team is phenomenal. I love them, right? Like I couldn't have been blessed to do something else, but then it's like the added responsibility of being a building rep and then like hearing other people's problems in the midst of me like trying to figure out my own can be tough and it can be really challenging. And I know I'm not gonna say I didn't cry some days, but also being able to find people I can lean on, right? So like when I feel tough about like the concept that I'm teaching, right? If I don't know it, I can go to my team and be like, hey, what are y'all doing about this? This seems really tricky. Can you help me out? Or like talking to my coaches. Or even sometimes I'll even go down to my principal office and like, I need to grab a meeting, especially if it's like a bunch of things that are happening, because it can become overwhelming and then like overbearing too because it seems like you have this huge chip on your shoulder and so many tasks to do with like because I also want to be helpful to the school and I want to make sure that people get what they need and like I provide all those things and it can feel like really heavy, but also being able to like I've learned I have to be able to just be like, hey, I need you guys can do that. If you need me, I'll do it. But like, I need to focus on this one task. Can you help me with that? And like asking for help and not feeling like I'm giving up on myself because I asked for help. No, I need the help. So I'm going to ask for it. And like finding that balance is what I'm like at right now. So I feel this is too much.
We were identifying before we hit record about how like everyone on this call was early and like that almost never happens in education and like and I identify with that archetype too. But I know for me my challenge is always asking for help because I'm like I can do it. I'll do it for everybody. It's fine. But when I like hit that point where I'm like I need help, I that creates a whole thing in my brain where I'm like, well, they're not going to do it the way I want to do it and it's going to be
And
easier if
right,
I
and
do.
like you have to be able to like release, right? And just be like, if the way you help, I'm grateful because it was too much for me, right? And just like knowing that because it does. Like I'm the person, if we're like sitting in a meeting and you're like getting out the list of like, I need this person to do this thing. I need this person to do this thing. I'm like, oh, I'll do it. I'll volunteer. I'll do it. And then before you know it, I have 20 things on my list. And I'm like, why did I sign up for all of this? Like, holy crap. Like I got too much going on. But also knowing that sometimes I don't have to show up to every meeting. I don't have to be in that meeting. It will get done. The work will get done, even if I'm not there. And like let other people handle it.
Right.
Absolutely. So, Chandler, what about you?
Um, so yeah, so like I really enjoy helping other people. But there does come a point that you like I have to be willing to receive the help from others that I give to people. So I have to also like be willing, like, because I've had a rough couple of weeks with family and things, and just like somebody, like another coworker paid for my Uber to get home during the ice storm, like just stuff like that. Like I have to be willing to receive stuff like that from other people because I'm offering that all the time, and I have to also, have the. Then I won't get in my notion of, oh, I need to do this for this person, this for this person. But then I have to be willing to receive that same help that I'm giving from others. So that's something I'm really learning how to do much better this year, is to receive the help as well. So yeah, that's something I'm trying to learn and focus on.
Yes, it's a growing edge for some of us for sure. Uja?
I think the interesting thing about this job being a teacher extraordinaire is that the execution part. Like I think a few people have mentioned, it's like, yeah, you want to delegate, yeah, you want to share responsibilities, but then when you're checking in and people are falling off, especially when you're working with teachers who are burnt out, you know what I'm saying? Or things happen, schools are very dynamic. And so from the one day to another, like you can have a plan and it can completely go awry. And so like, what does that look like? When you the execution is important, like like the teachers are counting on this breakfast that we're holding, or they're like really excited about this event. So like I think a lot of times what happens is that yes, I'll delegate or I'll allow people to volunteer, but because of the nature of working in a school building, I often have to step in to make sure that things happen, right? And so um that can be a load. One, following up to make sure that they're on track for things to happen, but then, at the end, if things go right, to like pull something together. And that probably happens a lot more than not. Just to make sure that there's fidelity in, the programs and services we offer to staff.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna kick it right back to you, Nujal, and just we've touched on this already, but like how can we take care of the teachers like you? Like how do we make sure that you all don't burn out? We talked about asking for help, but I'm wondering if there are some more like formal or informal ways that we could support you all. Like how do you want to be recognized for your efforts?
You know what? I think the one thing about serving and service is that it kind of feels you to serve, right? Like when I see and I do an event or we have a program for teachers and like they're like it accepting it and like it's supporting them. Like I feel that that's supportive. But just acknowledging, I think if like leadership like acknowledges what we do and like creates space for us to be able to do it well, I think that's what would help, right? Because like for example, we have this First Friday event and there's been many a times where a team was like, "Oh, we didn't get it together. Can we just give you money?" And I'm just like, "But it's tomorrow." Right? And so my admin will be like, "You know what? Take a block or two. Just like go, you can get the space or the time. Like I'll just communicate with them." So just them being able to acknowledge and create space for us to be able to execute these events is like really important. Like having that support from admin and then also from staff to be able to communicate like what they need. Like, because I think the big part, and I think it was mentioned before, is like you can plan things, but you have to make sure that you're tapping into the needs of the school and the needs of the staff. It's like I think um sometimes events will be planned, but it's like, I want to do this, but nobody else will come because you know what I'm saying? It's not what was needed by the most people. And so, like, just being aware, like tapping in, connecting with admin, connecting with staff, and making sure that what you're doing is needed and supported.
Yeah, I want to comment on some of that because this has been so much of my learning of working in schools around educator wellness that like I think those two pieces that you named are really true. That one, you need to protect the space around whatever educator wellness is, even if you get it wrong. Like even if you like do the thing and like two people come and it's not as well as attended as you wanted, like it's still really important that you held it and that you like made you because it is important and you'll keep trying. And then two is that like it has to come from staff. Like you can't come in and be like, this is the thing that's going to make you feel really well. But it is about like this responsive system where it just that understanding that this is important and we're going to work at this together and it's going to be ongoing. I think that is the secret to at least going in the right direction with some of this from my experience. What do you think, Chandler?
No, I totally agree. It does have to come from staff. I mean, it really does. And staff who want to do it. And, when you first start out, people may not really have that, you may have two people that come. But as you do it more and do more things, and, people are like, oh, I wonder what they're doing. Let's go check it out, and you get more and more people. And, just as thank yous. I mean, just a thank you. I mean, I am willing to take any donations, anything anybody wants to send me. Look me up at Kimball Elementary School. That's where I'll be. But just small thank yous, and appreciations from the staff, and I mean, and leadership as well, because we all three do this. No one told us we had to do this. Like it's not like somebody forced us into this. We do it because we want to, and it brings us joy to do it. So that's really why we do it. Nobody told us, oh, you have to do this. Well, nobody told me. I don't know. Um, but so I do it for the joy of doing it. But yeah, it is nice to get, like a little thank you note or stuff like that. It's nice to get on the back end of things.
Chandler, you said this thing when we did our symposium that really it rocked my world. It was so great about how you were like considering leaving teaching, that you felt like you were burned out on teaching, and then you really found like supporting other educators as being your way to like keep you in teaching. Can you say more about that? Because I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, so maybe so I've been in DC about 10 years. So right before I got to DC, I had taught in Georgia for like 15 and I was done with teaching. Like I was like, I'm ready to quit. But then I was like, no, let me see if I can do some other stuff. And I got really into like teacher wellness and research and supporting other people. And I call it popping my bubble. Like just got me outside of just being in my room and got me to talking to lots of different people. And I was like, oh, this is another passion of mine that has something totally different to do with what I do in the classroom per se. This is like a different kind of work. And so it's really kept me in teaching for the past about 10 years, really doing this advocacy and really working on teacher wellness and listening to people and connecting people and just, being there for the teacher who needs someone to talk to because there was, all the time I would see teachers literally crying in the hallway and stuff. And there was just no one there for them. And so I really like enjoyed doing it. And it's really kept me in education. I mean, this is really keeping me in education.
I love that image of popping your bubble too. It's just like to get like this A you're saying like the classroom isolation. How do you just do that? And to like show up in service is a really powerful way to do that. I definitely want to go to you on this, Miss A, because I'll say when we were partnered with your school, like my biggest thing was always like she can't say yes to anything more. Like I was worried about you in there, even though you're like such a like bright light and so good at
Yeah.
everything you did. But yeah, how do we take care of you? What support do you
I,
need?
for me, taking care of me is like knowing when I need to stop. So like I joined a new team and sometimes I'll like run myself ragged where like I don't eat and then when you don't eat you get a little angry. And so I was like, if you ever see me frustrated, I probably haven't eaten yet. tell me to go eat. I promise you. Because in my old team, she knew. She'd be like, she'll look at me and be like, have you eaten today? And I'd be like, no, because I didn't like ran. I gotta make copies. I'm gonna check in with this person. Or someone gave me a call today. Let me run down and see what they need. And then before you know it, planning is gone, work is done, and I'm like, it's 5 o'clock. I have not eaten anything today. Why am I like tired and like cranky because you haven't eaten? So like, have you eaten? That's a good way to definitely help me. But like also too, like something that I try to do is when the day is done, the day is done. So like I leave my work computer at work because when I go home, I want to be present at home, even if that's just me curled up on the couch. Like I want to be able to do that without thinking about work things. And like even if you're calling me about like a situation at work, because if you call me, I want to handle it right then. I'm not a person who's like a procrastinator in a way where like I have to wait and be like, no, oh, I'm calling all the people now to see like what is the answer. So if it's something that can wait till tomorrow, just tell me in the morning so that I'm not like flustered trying to figure out how to solve the problem tonight. And I think that's the thing like of being a teacher, no matter where you are, day or night, you're always teaching. So like even when I like have weekends, I'm like hanging out with other people's kids. I'm like, wait, are you safe? Are you like it's too many kids in this place? Like let me just move because that teacher brain like never cuts off. So sometimes I just need to like relax and like in isolation with like only adults, to just like get a moment to breathe and be like, okay, focus. Let somebody else take care of me for a moment where I'm not the one taking care of all the things.
Yeah. I hear some very healthy boundaries in there
Yeah.
that are probably hard to learn. I mean, because the what you all need to do, like with your workload is so real, especially as you're like learning the profession of like how to do it well. And so to be able to find those boundaries is really powerful. Is that something, do you find that you're helping other teachers kind of learn those boundaries too?
Yes, and then like my core circle because I'm a person who struggle with boundaries, and so I'm learning to say no more this year too. So I'm like, I'm not going to that meeting. I mean, no, because I am so like shaky about boundaries. I'm like, oh, I'll break my own boundaries, and then like I do like a disservice to me, and I'm teaching other people to be like, no, you do not do that. Like say no, do all these things. I'm like, how can I tell you to do such a thing if I'm not doing it for myself? So,
Yes.
and then like my circle really holds me accountable. Be like, why did you say that? You should have said no. And I'm like, you're right. I should have. Uh, which
Oh.
is just a window to my little brain.
Any other thoughts on boundaries and how to find those boundaries? 'Cause I do think that's kind of key to taking care of you all.
So I'll give this example. And I have this little bracelet that a teacher, it's a hairband, a teacher, another friend of mine gave me, and it's a little snap bracelet. And they remind me to snap it when I need to stay in my lane. Um, so any other person would like, I have some kind of nicotine addiction. Like, yeah, I would literally go through the day and snap that bracelet. Like, I'm like, you really need to stay in your lane, and get your own job done and take care of these other people. Like, so that is a real tool that someone has given me that I use. And they would tell me that. They're like, did you pop your bracelet? Did you bring your snap bracelet? I was like, yes, I have it on. So that is something I actually do. Yes.
That is
That's
good.
something.
We have to
Yeah,
reprogram our brains for some of this stuff, and that's how you do it.
I
You want
love
anything,
that.
Michelle?
I think I stepped away for grad school for a semester and coming back, like there was a lot of people that stepped in and did the job I was doing by myself, and so coming back, like I was like, you know what? I'm gonna find a lane, and I'm trying to like stay in that and not take on too much and be very cognizant of what I need, right? Because I think a few years ago, I was really quick to say, like, I'm getting this done and I won't eat lunch, or I'm getting this done and I won't, I'll take some time for my family, and so I'm very cognizant.
Oh, I think you froze.
Oh, oh no.
Let's see if we get her back. Oh,
Wire, but it definitely is not natural. And it's definitely work in progress.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, we're learning all of it. Boundaries again, it's something I've had to learn a lot about, but it's so powerful to learn boundaries and to let other people, I think there's sort of a root programming of other people around us sometimes if they're used to us always saying yes. to be like, no, like you're giving them their power back to them, they've assumed that you're going to do it. And you're like, no, you guys could do it, and finding that in themselves too. I'm really excited to ask you all this question because it's something I've been thinking a lot about lately about what's the role of educators in kind of school and the SEL, the wellness, the mental health support for students, for families. Because I see educators really on the front lines. Like you all see where the gaps are, like you were saying, Miss G. And yet, when I look at some of the bigger planning that the city does, the DCPS does, the DBH does, like educators are never factored into that planning. You're not, I just feel like you're not really asked. You're not, and so like, how do you all see the role of like of what teachers can do for SEL and kind of that overall like helper role within the school while also being very aware that we don't want to add anything to your workloads? I'll let whoever wants to jump in first go.
I think SEO is something that we do naturally. We just don't always name it when we're doing it. Like I feel like I always have like community circles with my class, especially if like behaviors are becoming outlanders and I see like one too many emotions. I'm like, what's going on? How are you feeling? Let's check in about it, right? So like we're doing the work, but it's like added space, right? Like, is it taking 5 minutes from my literacy segment of my day? Probably. But like that's 5 minutes that work because if I don't take away this 5 minutes, it's going to be 30 minutes of kids coming over asking me, this person pushed me, this person did this, because they're not able to re-regulate themselves. So I feel like you have to kind of add the time unless you're subtracted later. I think it should be something that is like embedded in the curriculum, right? Because we follow DCPS curriculum. You guys create the curriculum, it's already written for us. So I feel like some of that talk should be embedded in the conversations. Because like right now, we're talking about activism in second grade. And so we're talking about like different type of forms of activism and like how we advocate for ourselves and like how we are able to do that, how other people have done it and like how that helped to change our world. And so like part of that is like SEO, right? They had to know like there was a problem and they needed a solution. Like you can add in components of SEO and like in that moment so that it could be easier and more organic instead of being like, I'm going to read this one book that is like not a part of the lesson, but like, so it's not like separate, it's already included. And then like two, making sure that class sizes are smaller. Like this year, I only have 20 students. Last year, I had almost 30. And like to teach 20 kids compared to almost 30, it's like, I know everybody. Sometimes I look around the room, I'm like, oh, this is light. And sometimes I was like, is everyone here? Because it is like, it's lighter, it's more organic. Like I can like check in with everybody. Oh, I see your misconception. Sometimes I don't even have to necessarily be next to a child and see from across the room, hey, what did you do for number 6? Because it's easier for one person to like scan 20 than 30, because within the 30, kids can like mirror other kids and like it could be misconceptions. And so like having that too to be like, oh, this is easier, this is nice, that's also, and then you have to think about almost 30 kids. Thinking about 20 is so much easier. So like trying to keep that down as much as we can be like really helpful.
I just wanted to add, I think that the importance of teacher voice, like I just don't know why it's not tapped in. Just like we have the space to create wellness for teachers, there's teachers that are very motivated to create that for students, especially in the SEL place in space. And so like if you were to invite teachers that wanted to do this, like I know there's a lot of teachers that would volunteer to do that and create systems and reach out to students and create things, because I think that when you're not listening to the teacher voice, you kind of lose the front line, right? Like people are reacting off of data or things they've heard, or being reactive instead of proactive. And so
Mm-hmm.
like not having that teacher voice, not inviting teachers that have the space to participate in SEL, is really a loss, not only for the district, but also for the students and also for the families. I know there's one teacher at my school. She was like, you know what? She created this form, and it was amazing because there was she noticed that students who were dually identified with language, they were language learners and special education, they were failing. Like they're all failing. Like she was like, how do we reach this? And she created this system in this form. Like And it was like she showed it to me, and it's just so amazing. And she had the space because it was on her heart to do. And so, like, not inviting teachers to participate. I mean, not everybody has the space or energy to do everything, but there are teachers that have the space to do something. And so I'm hoping that at some point, like it'll be more normalized to invite teachers in the conversation because we're, like you said, we're on the front lines and a lot of people do have the space and the heart to do it.
And I'll jump in. So yeah, I think it has to be something that's an invitation and not something that's forced. Because just like with therapy, you can't force somebody to go to therapy. I wish we could sometimes, but it has to be a want for the educators, and it has to be something that's offered and invited. Just like after the pandemic, everybody was really focused on student SEL, but no one was really focused on educator SEL. And I really thought, I was like, they're wanting us to help all these students, but no one is helping us. And if no one is helping me, I'm not in a position to help anybody else. So that's when I really got into this work. So yeah, I think just being asked to be part of this solution instead of just being told I'm part of the problem is a first step.
Oh yeah, you all just said so many important things. We're going to send this to some policymakers here to think about. But yeah, I think yeah, I think one is like not getting in your way is kind of what I hear. It's like if people want to do things, yes, it will take a little bit of time from like the minutes that need to add up, and people will learn better because like we're human beings, and if you come to school and you're dysregulated, like we all know like how little we can actually take in those moments. And two, to like, I just think there's so much innovation that happens in the teacher space that's so lost sometimes that because you are so isolated. So like I just like wonder about creating ways that people can like more easily share and inspire each other with like their pedagogy and these SEL approaches. And that it's, I do think culture, it's kind of catchy, that like if you're in, like it's so interesting because like we work in a DCPS system and charters too, but DCPS especially because it's all the same rules to the same extent. And every school we goes into feels entirely different from each other. And it's because that culture and the way that people build it and the way that people get inspired by each other. And so I do believe there's a lot of change that actually can happen in this system, but it does take people like really, yeah, listening to educators. Y'all are brilliant.
Oh yeah, I totally agree. Um, I totally agree too, because I'm just thinking about like, and then like in moments too when things happen, like I had a moment on Friday where one of my students has a not a typical family dynamic, right? And so they decided to share with the class. And so it was a moment where the students was like, "What do you mean about that?" Because they were curious because it was different than what they normally would see. And so I was like, "Oh, this is a prime time. Like, let me have a conversation with you. Is it technically the script that I'm supposed to be teaching at this moment? No. Is it the overall spectrum of like about activism and like how we advocate for ourselves and like how we share information? Yes. Like, is this a collaborative space? Absolutely. Will we share? Yes. Did I read DCPS books? Not at that moment. Did I read books that help them learn and understand more? Absolutely. Did I send an email home to families? Yes. But it was such a great community exercise where like all the kids laughed and was like, oh, I will ask more questions. The way I answer, of course, because they're 8, they're like, "What is that?" And I was like, "That's not really how people share. Like, we want to make sure that it's open so that they'll want to share more with us." And all the kids were like, they left the conversation feeling like, "Wow!" But like, even for me, when I left, I like went and talked to other adults because I was like, "Did I do this thing right?" Like, I want to make sure that it was shared appropriately, and just seeing how they were like, wow, you didn't tell me that either. I didn't know that was a situation in your classroom. Oh, that's good to know. And like hearing them be like, oh, I would have did that too. You did it. That was a great approach. Cause like I read Julian is a mermaid, and just like tell them like we identify people by what they say they are and we believe them as that. Like if Julian is a mermaid, he's a mermaid, and like we believe him. And so we don't want to identify him as anything other than what he said he is, because that's what he is. And so just like having those conversations that like are age appropriate, but it still open up a space where you can feel, whole when you leave. And so I just feel like we just need more of those moments that are like organic in a space where like you invite students to share and then you're like, wow, this is it. And everybody leaves filled with more knowledge. They gain new information, but it still could continue conversations.
Yeah, I think like flexibility is key.
Yeah.
Um, you have to be able to be flexible in your lessons. You have to be able to be flexible in your professional development. Stuff that works at one school may not work at another school. It can't just be a one script like thing works for everyone because it doesn't. Everybody's different. Each school is different. We all learn differently. We receive things differently. So you really have to like it has to be a per, almost per person per school kind of basis on stuff that works. Like I said, for one place may not work another place. So
Mm.
you have to be really flexible.
And it's like, again, like, I feel like bringing it back to like your all's desire to help and desire to serve, that like you kind of, that gives you the space to experiment because it's coming from that place that you're like going to keep showing up. And like, I love ending on this note of like belonging too, because I think at the end of the day, like, we need to feel like we belong in order to grow, and that's for students, but it's for staff, and the data really shows that if staff don't feel a sense of belonging with each other, the students don't either. So
Mm.
just really appreciate all that you do to welcome people and to make people feel cared for. And I hope on behalf of Empower Ed we can thank you all for that, and maybe in this space feel a little cared for, and just really appreciate getting to work with you all. So thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.